Hello, everybody. Welcome to another vlog. I hope you guys are having a good week. I hope you guys are well. I am chopping up this pineapple because the previous week I ate the worst things and I have the worst gas. So, I'm trying to reboot my system by eating a bit healthier this week. This pineapple and banana, and you'll see I also added in some sorghum porridge to it because this day I just did not want anything to do with sugar, because I don't know how many slabs of chocolate I ate this past weekend, so I'm just running away from sugar as far as I can. So this is the smoothie: pineapple, banana, sorghum porridge, and water. I'm having this with some nuts left over from the weekend just to fill me up. And then I started cooking here, some vegetables, some carrots. I haven't bought carrots in such a long time, but I just needed all the vegetables, all the colors I can get into my system. This was Tuesday's dinner. Hello everybody, welcome to another vlog. My name is Thandukuhle Ntombela, and on this vlog we are going to be just, what's the word I'm looking for, rebooting. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but we came back from KZN 2 days ago. We had a very hectic weekend traveling there. I'm sure you guys saw in the previous vlog. And while we were there, I ate so much chocolate and red meat. And this week, I just want to detox, and have my vegetables, have my water, drink all sorts of things that are going to get rid of all this, the things that I put in my body this past weekend. So please join me as I do that. So this week is all about the food I'm going to be eating, and yeah, stay tuned. So on this day I decided to make a lentil stew. So I'm frying up my onions here, and then these mushrooms really helped to give that meaty taste, even though you could tell that there's no meat, but the mushrooms really made a difference. They were my fighters, and mashing them up or chopping them up finely with this chopper really incorporated it so well into the lentils. So I'm adding my spices and my herbs just so that I don't miss the meat. Okay, so yeah, the mushrooms going in, and I'm just gonna stir that up. I stir that up with my lentils. These lentils are already cooked. They're soft, so they were not hard, they were soft, but they didn't take that long to cook. Then I'm adding my tomato puree, which I just pureed in the blender, and mix it up, let it simmer, and you have yourself a lentil stew. I think I do go overboard with this salt grinder. In fact, this past week I was pouring in the salt, but luckily it wasn't too much. And then just for some greens, I chopped up some spinach and cooked that quickly. So this is Wednesday's dinner. And this day I was craving a fresh, crispy salad, so I chopped up my cucumbers, and then I chopped up my parsley. Is this parsley or celery? I think it's celery. Celery, yes. I chopped up that, and then I also grated in some carrots just to bring some color. I think the carrots this week were here for the color. And then your lettuce, yes. I added my lettuce, and then I chop that up nicely just to make it into bite sizes. It's amazing how this little salad can really bring some color and just make your food look amazing just because of a salad. So here you go, here's the salad. And then I made a little homemade dressing, of which I put Nola mayonnaise. Then I add Ina Palmer's Bry Spice. Then I add some vinegar, white normal vinegar. I do feel like I added a little too much here, and I also added in some salt. And then you just close your jug and you shake it around, and then just like that you have a salad dressing to go with your salad. So today I'm making a cottage pie. I'm gonna put my potatoes mash up my potatoes, and then I'm gonna put the other day's lentil stew on top. Just layer it all over the top, and then I added some cheese on top, and then I put that in the oven for a few minutes, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, just for the cheese to melt and for the flavors to get acquainted. And then voila, you have yourself a lentil cottage pie. And you know what, you really wouldn't miss the meat. I did miss the meat, but you know, if you're blind tasting this, you wouldn't. It's great to plate this when it's cooled down, because when it's not, it just falls apart. Hello everybody, so today's a Friday and I want to wrap up my vegetarian week, but to do that I need to cook a bit more food to finish off the week. So today I'm meal prepping. What I'm going to make is steamed bread. I'm gonna make cauliflower wings. I'm gonna make beans and cabbage pie, which is something I don't know, I've never done before. I'm just winging it. I don't know how to do it. I'm also winging the cauliflower wings. So yeah, let's see how it turns out. Okay, so for the steamed bread, I'm going to grate 2 carrots, and then I'm going to add to the flour. Then I'm going to need a packet of yeast. I'm going to need a tablespoon of sugar and 4 cups of flour. Okay, now I'm just gonna prep my cabbage for the cabbage pies. I'm gonna simply put onions, some parsley, and the cabbage, and I'm gonna cook it up. And yeah. This is coconut oil. let's chop the celery. Okay, so I'm gonna let this cook down and then I'll add the cabbage. But for now, let's make the dough, which is gonna be a roti dough. Okay, for the roti, I'm using 4 cups of flour once again. 4 cups of flour. So it's the roti dough for the cabbage pie. The cabbage pie, which is something I invented just now. Well, it's not something I invented. I was thinking of a spring roll type of thing, but then I don't have the spring roll wrapping stuff. I don't know what they're thinking. So I'm gonna use a roti dough to put my cabbage in. Use a roti dough to put my cabbage in. I'm just gonna add some butter and coconut oil to the dough to make it a bit rich and moist, and then we're gonna bake it. So that's 4 cups of flour, and then to this I'm gonna add some salt. So I'm gonna put salt in this bowl. Butter. And then some coconut oil as well. I'm not measuring, I'm just adding whatever feels good. Alrighty, and then I'm gonna go ahead and add my hot water. Hopefully it's going to melt. It's gonna melt all the butter and coconut oil. So I'm gonna put 2 cups of boiling water. 1, 2. And before I mix it with my hand, I'm going to first mix it with this wooden spoon so I don't burn myself. Okay, I'm going to mix this up and I'm going to show you the final product. Okay, so here's my roti dough that I'm going to use to make my cabbage pies. And then to my cabbage, I'm going to add some sugar, some salt, cayenne, paprika, and this Inner Parman's rice spice. So I'm just going to add it in there and cook it down, and then cool it down before I make the pies. So yeah. And then we add the rice spice, the paprika, cayenne, okay, salt, and sugar. Okay, so now I'm gonna prep the cauliflower for the cauliflower wings. I'm just gonna chop it up into the florets, and then I'm gonna put it on a baking sheet and make a marinade for them. I'm gonna make a peri-peri marinade because that's the marinade that I have. Okay. Some more today. Yeah, you better get more.
Yeah, I just remembered one. Did you know that that they used to use a torture method where they take bamboo shoots and let it grow underneath the person? Since bamboo grows extremely quickly, it was very effective,
Okay.
but kind of slow.
All right. Ooh, I don't know about this. It's not coming on the cauliflower. I think I'm just gonna pour it in. Pour it in. Okay, so now I'm gonna prep some beans. I'm gonna put some coconut oil in the pan, fry up onions, and then I'm gonna add the beans and this preserved blended tomatoes. Okay, let's add our beans to these onions. Okay, and then I'm gonna add my tomatoes. Okay, I'm gonna put some spices in that, and then I'm gonna mash up the beans. And it's gonna be a little bit more creamy and beautiful. Now I am constructing my cabbage pies. I rolled the dough out onto the counter, and then I divided it into the number of pies that I wanted. Then after I added in my cabbage and baked them in the oven. Now, one thing about my hands, they're always shining because in the kitchen when they get dry, because I've been touching water and touching and wiping my hands and wiping the surfaces and washing dishes, and then also touching food, so I just decide to put coconut oil on my hands when I'm in the kitchen, just not to put Nivea in my pies or lotion in my food. So I normally use coconut oil for my hands in the kitchen, hence you'll see them super shiny. Super shiny. But yeah, these pies were good. They were good, but the children did not like the filling, so we had a lot of leftovers for this one. But I'm sure adults who enjoy cabbage, who enjoy vegetables, would really love these. They were really delicious, if I have to say so myself. So I'm constructing all of them, and then I'll put them on the baking tray and bake them. Soon after this, my meal prep was done and my vegetarian week was over, and I could go back to eating meat. But I will say that I did enjoy this. This is a meal prep I done on Friday. My steamed bread, added in some beetroots and my cabbage pies, my broccoli, and my beans. It was all delicious. I would say you couldn't miss the meat, but I did miss meat. But this was also a good substitute, good meal. And then this is Friday's dinner for myself. And then also we have Saturday's dinner for myself as well. Thank you so much for watching. So please comment, like, and subscribe. See you next week.